Welcome to the START Network Assembly 2024, from intent to impact, locally led action for system level change. And so what do we mean by that, from intent to impact? Well, we recognize now that after 5 years since becoming an independent organization, 5 years enabling local leadership through our 130 plus majority local members, 10 hubs, and more than 5 years anticipating and acting ahead of crises, protecting 1.7 million people, and more than 10 years of operating our START funds, which have now disbursed a total of 160 million pounds. We've actioned a lot. We've learned a lot, and we have lots of evidence, learning, and insights to share. So we've chosen this theme to remind our members and each other that it is our action, our behavior, and in fact, our impact, in addition to all of our good intentions, that will serve to change the system. So, as in previous years, we're holding this assembly in 2 parts. Our virtual sessions, which will take place today and tomorrow, are open to everybody. We've had more than 500 registrations for these virtual sessions from our members, partners, supporters, and just people wanting to learn about the work that we do. So welcome to everybody. I'm so pleased that so many of you have decided to join us today. And next month, we will convene our entire membership in person in Bangkok to make key decisions about the network and build our future initiatives together. Across all of our virtual and in-person sessions, we'll share with you where we've made progress against the 4 strengths of our strategy: a networker, a funder, an innovator, and an influencer. And across all of our sessions, we'll spend a lot of time reflecting on what we've learned, and importantly, asking ourselves, have we changed the system? Why or why not? So what's happened to since the last time we came together 1 year ago, and what's in store for these next 2 days? Well, we'll begin this morning with a reflective session on a humanitarian sector that may have just reached its limits in its principles and in its practice. No doubt, we're all busy, all of us busy all the time, meetings such as this one, report writing, evaluations, moving money around the world, operating. But are we busy with the right things? Last year, this virtual assembly took place shortly after the attacks by Hamas on Israeli civilians on October 7th. At that time, we had no idea the year of slaughter, destruction, horror in Gaza by Israel that would ensue. And now, with a widening of that conflict to other parts of the Middle East, there is really no end in sight. Last year at this time, we also might have not imagined that the hunger in Sudan would reach catastrophic levels for close to 800,000 people. Their starvation, an instrument in the political tug of war between the Sudanese armed forces and the paramilitary rapid support forces. And in the last few months, floods. The worst flooding in decades have torn through Bangladesh and Nepal, and neither the governments nor aid organizations were able to avoid the loss and damage of such predictable events. So what we are witnessing today in these places and in too many others is damaging and dehumanizing. Are we living up to our own principles in the way that civilians require? Has humanitarianism as a concept and a practice reached its limits? Or have we taken on too much and we find ourselves underskilled, under-resourced, and used as cover for political inaction? And what should we be doing about all of this? So that's sort of a tee up for our first session in which we'll ask ourselves all these questions. We'll hear answers from 4 esteemed panelists: Uni Krishnan from Plan International, Idris Dar from WASDA in Kenya, Meg Sattler from Ground Truth Solutions, and Will Worley from the New Humanitarian. They will all try to help us make sense of these questions. Then, following that session, my colleague Ian Burbidge and Charles Ledbetter of the System Innovation Initiative will introduce our Systems Change Playbook, a practical guide for moving from the intention of systems change to its impact. Following that, we'll hear firsthand accounts from some of our hub leaders, Anna Abalahim in the Philippines hub and Angelina Niajima in the Democratic Republic of Congo hub, about whether and how they've shifted power and practice in their contexts. Sanjay Pandey and Shahida Suleiman will introduce you to Hub Health Check, a new peer accountability mechanism that we're trying out that was established by our hubs for our hubs. We'll spend a lot of time discussing power across these 2 days and in Bangkok, both our personal and our professional relationship with it. Tomorrow, Smriti Patel will lead us through a reflection on power, the power dynamics in the network, and how we might put more power balance together to work for us as local, national, and international organizations coming together. And our keynote speaker tomorrow, Danny Sriskandaraja, a former START Network member and now CEO of the New Economics Foundation, will ask us to consider whether we can make this the century of the citizen, a century of greater activism, of greater community engagement, and more distributed forms of power. We'll also lift the lid with donors from the UK government, from the IKEA Foundation, from the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get their take on how to work with donors to advance the key reforms that we're looking at, such as anticipatory action and local leadership. My colleague then, Mark Wigman, and Start Ready Governance Committee member Chiara Ambrosino from Plan International will then discuss the promises and pitfalls of risk pooling to stretch our limited funds. And across all of these sessions, we hope to give you a flavor of our achievements as a growing network and an evolving movement for change. And we aim to engage you in our thinking for where we can do better. So in short, there's just lots and lots to discuss. I love START Network assemblies because they're always really unique opportunities to hear from different voices, share different perspectives, and explore our varied experiences with the changing humanitarian system. So please, all of you, join our sessions, immerse yourself in these discussions, connect with your peers from across the sector and across the world. Make use of our online event features such as speed networking, and check out our library of resources and video discussions on key topics that may interest you. And please take this opportunity of these next few days to just be a little bit less busy, to lift your head up, to explore, to reflect, to learn, to enjoy, but really just to make those decisions about what you want to be busy about. So enjoy the assembly. Please join me in our next session on has humanitarianism reached its limits, which will be taking place in about 7 minutes. So I'll see you there in the next Zoom room. Take care and enjoy the rest of these 2 days. Thanks a lot.